And hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, co-editor Ricky Keeler, and if you're up at 1:15 a.m. on the East Coast to listen to us live, we definitely do appreciate it. Nationals get the win, and I would say I've been here at District on Deck since 2015. This has been the wildest game I've ever covered. The Nats win 15-12. No, this is not the Redskins against the Broncos. This was a baseball game at Coors Field, and nobody should ever be surprised at what happens at Coors Field. Nationals at least avoid back-to-back losses. They get back on the winning track. Let's talk about the positives before we talk about the negatives. There's, I think, a little bit of both tonight. We want to get you involved, though, as well. A lot happened in this game, so please feel free to comment in the chat room what your thoughts on tonight's game were. I'm sure you've got a lot of them. If they're within reason, I'll read them on the air. You can also tweet me on Twitter at District on Deck or at Rickinator555. So those are the ways you can reach me. First off, we got to start with Trea Turner. Congratulations to Trea Turner, the third National to ever hit for the cycle. 7 RBIs. Hits a nice 2-run opposite field home run off Jordan Lyles in the 6th inning. It is just great to have Turner back. I mean, you think about how this lineup is so different with him in there. And I know that people don't like he's hitting second, but I actually like it. Let Turner be more aggressive in the 2 spot. He's not, in my mind, he doesn't take enough pitches for me to be the leadoff hitter. I understand people are worried with the speed because you got Bryce Harper behind him. But I kind of like that you can alternate these guys around, and Eaton to me takes more pitches than Turner does. So it makes more sense to put him there. But again, 3rd cycle in team history, well, Nats history, the 9th in Nats Expos history. Turner also, according to Nationals PR tonight, tied for the 2nd most RBIs in a single game on the team with 7. Josh Willingham had 8 in 2009 as Turner joins Christian Guzman in 2008 and Brad Wilkerson in 2005 as the only Nationals to hit for the cycle. So congratulations to Trea Turner again. And just a great night all around for the offense. I mean, I think they did what they had to do against German Marquez, who had some good fastball life with his velocity, 96, 97. He's a guy definitely you could keep an eye on the Rockies in the future. But what got away from it, you had the Harper double in the 1st, which Gonzalez makes a bad error, leads to a run. Murphy comes up with an RBI single. What changed that game, at least you thought it did at the time, was the Joe Ross walk in the 2nd that leads to 5 runs. You got the Trea Turner 2-run double down the left field line. Then Daniel Murphy with a rare triple in the left center. Probably the only thing you do at Coors Field is have Daniel Murphy hit a triple. Nats led 7-0, and you're thinking, all right, it's feeling good. Everything's going right. And then everything goes wrong. Joe Ross tonight, think of it the opposite of what you thought of against Atlanta was what you saw from him tonight. The fastball was sub 90 miles an hour at 88, 89. And we'll see what Dusty Baker has to say about that during his comments. And if the comments occur while we're on the air, we'll get them to you. But just was very disappointing. Now, again, the weather was terrible tonight. You had rain, you had wind, you had 40-degree temperatures. Remember, the Nationals have never been to Coors Field this early in the season before. But Ross has given up a ton of loud outs early on in the game. He gets a 1-2-3 first inning, which is kind of surprising. And then you got a leadoff hit home run by Carlos Gonzalez in the 2nd. Mark Reynolds, a leadoff home run in the 4th. And the fact that Ross doesn't finish the 5th inning really hurts this bullpen tonight. The bullpen will get its fair share of blame, no question. But the fact that Ross couldn't even get out of the 5th when given a 7-0 lead is extremely disappointing. You look at his line, and we'll get that to you right now. 4 2/3 innings, gives up the 5 runs. Something slow here. 5 runs on 8 hits, 90 pitches, only 57 strikes. 7 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So very disappointing game for Joe Ross. Dusty has to go to Eddie Romero in the bottom of the 5th. Keep in mind, Eddie Romero has thrown 4 times in the last 5 games. So while Romero looked bad last night, you now threw him into the mix again today. Now, he got par out of the 5th, and I would have thought, that, okay, his night's done then. Comes out, pitches the 6th, does a nice job. Inning in the 3rd, 1 hit. Probably the only guy that did great tonight. Coda Glover comes in the 7th inning. Which, again, why in the world is Coda Glover coming in a 10-run game? I understand this bullpen is so depleted. I get that. But the fact that you're calling on your half of your closer duo to come in a 10-run game, and that just makes the state of this bullpen really weird. And the Denning, who's a great commenter, talks about it. Yuck of a bullpen performance. Also, what was going on with the Rockies reliever throwing at Eaton and Turner in the 9th? We'll get into that, Denning, and that's a good point. I don't know what to make of that. I thought with Eaton it slipped, and then Turner gets thrown out near his head. I find it really hard to believe because the game, it's still 15-11, is still pretty much in reach for Colorado. I mean, you could think back, I heard a lot of people tweet me during the game. If the Rockies hadn't taken out Gonzalez and Arenado, you wonder where this game would have ended up. So Dusty, I think, has to thank his lucky stars that Bud Black did that. I don't know what Estevez was doing there. I would like to think he did not do that on purpose. The Eaton one, I don't think. Turner, again, I don't like to say people did things on purpose, but that was really close to Turner's head. So that would be something to keep an eye on, but that's a good point on your part. So Glover gives up a couple of runs, and it was just terrible. I mean, I'll give Coda Glover credit for one thing. He threw strikes. When you got a 10-run lead, just throw the ball down the plate. If they hit it, they hit it. And that's all you care about in that situation. And Glover ends up giving up a couple of runs. Sack fly by Gonzalez, ground out by Reynolds to make it 15-7. Then Joe Blanton comes in. But you think Blanton hasn't pitched in a while. He should get the last couple outs, right? Last couple innings? No, not at all. Just terrible outing by Joe Blanton. A double by Walt. Story gets on a start the inning. Walters gets a double. Amarista comes in, gets a double. And then Charlie Blackmon crushes a home run off of him. So in the end, Blanton gives up 4 runs, 4 hits. Doesn't even get out of the 8th. In fact, they have to go to Matt Albers, who hits DJ LeMahieu, gets the next 3 guys out, and then you're thinking, okay, maybe Albers finishes the 9th. No, they're going to Sean Kelly. And you would love to be excited. And again, nobody take anything away from Trea Turner tonight. Absolutely nobody. The fact that Sean Kelly had to be used in a game where the Nats led by 10 runs, you can make up any adjective. It's extremely disappointing. And it would not surprise me in the least if it comes back to bite them either in this series or in the next one against New York. You're gonna look back at this game and think if Kelly or Glover aren't available, if only the pitchers that we had did their job at a 10-run lead. That's the only way you could put about it. I mean, this game had everything go wrong. And then you had Sean Kelly, as Chris points out, gives him a home run to Gerardo Parra to lead off the 9th. And then you're thinking at 15-12, what else can go wrong? And that's just the craziness that a Coors Field game will provide you. But still, it's kind of, you just wonder what the heck is going on with this bullpen. And they had the one good week last week against Atlanta against the Mets. Everybody did a good job. It's gone backwards. Romero and Trinan were terrible the other day. And now you got everybody tonight. Think about this. The bullpen had 1 strikeout. 1 strikeout in 4 1/3 innings. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Not against this lineup that will crush any mistake you make because the Rockies have a ton of power in it. Again, you should be happy that they got it. And Chris Lacey, one of our writers, is here as well, saying it's a shame they needed 15 runs. Chris, I can't say I disagree. I can't. You look up and down this offense today. Eaton goes 2 for 6 with an RBI. We talked about Turner. Harper 2 for 4 with a ribby. Murphy 3 for 5 with a career-high 5 RBIs. Turner, again, as he mentioned, career-high 7 RBIs. Matt Wieters picks up a hit. Anthony Rendon picks up a hit. You had 14 hits in this game. Now, the Rockies, 12 runs, 15 hits. So this game was full offense. DJ LeMahieu had 3 hits. Gonzalez had a home run, as we mentioned. Blackmon 3 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Mark Reynolds again with the home run. He played a pretty good first base for them, I got to say. Story 1 for 5. Walters a couple of hits. It's just the way this offense goes. I mean, you give up 4 home runs as a team, and you think about what happened early in that game. If that weather wasn't terrible in the first couple innings, the Rockies have a few more home runs on the board. I mean, Arenado hit a couple to the track, I think. So there were a lot of balls, especially think about those first 2 outs for Joe Ross, and the first thing you knew was a bad sign. And I'm worried about Joe Ross right now. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, maybe it's the thin air, but he couldn't even get 90 on the fastball. And he's known for at least 92, 93, and you're seeing the velocity go down that much. I mean, that's a concern to talk about. Again, he's only your 5 starter. So I think that whatever you get from him, you take, but you saw what Trea Turner did last night. Or depending early yesterday morning, it's almost 1:30 here. But what Joe Ross did, again, was extremely disappointing. So Andy Romero ends up getting the win. And you can make the case Nick Romero was the best reliever tonight. So maybe it's justice he gets the win. Goes to 2-1. Marquez gets the loss. 4 innings, 8 runs, 9 hits, 3 walks, struck out 2. Jordan Lyles pitched this game. Scott Oberg got roughed up in that 7th inning. Jake McGee and Estevez in the 9th inning. For the Nationals, again, you take the win. As Ron always says on the show, win's a win. You had a 1-hour rain delay. Game took about 3.5 hours, a little less than that, 3 hours, 26 minutes. Win's a win. But I don't blame you if you go into this game, if you take away from this game disappointment. You shouldn't, because Trea Turner should be the story. I think Trea Turner is the story. But I can't blame you if you're disappointed. I can't. And this is a big... Now, if you get one more game on this road trip out of the next 2, take it and run. Absolutely take it and run. Because this has been a good, successful road trip. On the road trip right now. 2 games left. And this game is great. I don't think you'll have a game as crazy as this all year. I don't. I would be surprised otherwise. But Colorado, if they can find any pitching, I think they'll be in this all year long. If John Gray comes back and gives them anything, their bullpen's pretty good. So all in all, I think you take what you get from that. Nothing else going on around the division tonight. Braves and Mets were postponed. Marlins and Phillies were postponed. So the Nats gained a half game on everybody. So all in all, a good thing maybe that nobody played. Nats go to 14-6. Rockies to 14-7. Let's take a look at the chat. And Chris makes up a good point, and that's where we're going to get into with tonight's tomorrow. Well, depending when you listen, I guess later today's pitching matchup. 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time, catching on Masson 2 on TV, 106.7 The Fan in D.C. Tanner Roark gets a start, 2-0 with a 3.65 ERA against Tyler Chatwood, who's 2-2 with a 4.10. And for me, looking at this game, Roark's, again, like Chris put in the chat, he's got to give you length. You hate to put that on Roark, but you've got to give you length. And he's looked pretty good. Last time out, he gave a couple of home runs, but 6 2/3, 3 runs, 7 hits, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, a lot of fly ball outs. You cannot have 14 fly ball outs in Colorado and be successful. He's got to get back to what worked against Philly when he had the 15 ground ball outs at home. And with Roark, it's usually been one great, one start. One great, one You could say the other start was okay last time out. He did give a double to Zach Wheeler. So I would like to see Roark sort of go back to that good start here. And he doesn't have a lot of experience at Coors Field. Turning over to Tyler Chatwood, and if the name sounds familiar, he had the best road ERA in all of baseball last year. Chatwood's one of those guys that you look at his last start against the Giants, 6 innings, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. He got the win, and his start before that, he threw a complete game 2-hitter with 18 ground ball outs and 18 strikeouts. 105 pitches in that one. Chatwood's made 2 home starts, 2 road starts to get up 4 runs in both home starts to get up 3 home runs, and has walked 6. So there's something about Coors Field. Again, pitching in Coors Field home ballpark isn't easy, but Chatwood last season, look at the splits. He had a 6.12 ERA at home with an opponent's average of 3.03, and on the road he was 8-1 with a 1.69. So at least you're not facing Chatwood at Nats Park. So I think that kind of has to help the Nationals a little bit. They did not face him last year. So that has to play a factor. Nobody has any. Ryan Zimmerman has an RBI double against him, 1 for 3. Murphy's 1 for 8. Rendon's 2 for 3. Eaton's 2 for 6 with a double, but not much experience for those guys there. And Denning brings up a good point in the chat. Colorado's got a good bullpen with Greg Holland and Jake McGee. I would agree. Their bullpen's been a huge strength for them this year, at least in the early stages. And then Bud Black's going to have to rely on that bullpen. So that's why I think tomorrow the key is going to be which starter goes the longest, Roark or Chatwood. Whichever one goes the longest, you got success there. Only one minor league game tonight. A lot of postponements around minor league baseball. Harrisburg got postponed. They're going to play tomorrow night at 6:30. I think Eric Fetty's will start that game, so we'll have some more on that. Potomac got postponed against Frederick. They have a doubleheader tomorrow. Hagerstown postponed again against Kannapolis. Doubleheader tomorrow. I think tomorrow morning, at 10:30, Dane Dunning's going to pitch against the Suns. So if you're still wondering what's going on with Dane Dunning since he was traded for Adam Eaton, you can listen to that game. I think on the Hagerstown website we'll have it. So that should be a fun game. Suns have a good offense. So Dunning, who has pitched great for Kannapolis, that's an interesting game to watch. The one game that did happen tonight, Syracuse lost to Durham 4-3. Durham's the Rays affiliate. I was actually watching a little bit of this game before the Nats game was on. Durham had Brent Honeywell on the mound, one of the better pitchers in AAA. Honeywell struck out 9 in 5 2/3, but Matt Skoll hit a 2-run shot against him in the second inning, his third of the season. Chiefs had their chances, but went 0 for 4 men scoring position. Nevertheless, their bullpen did a nice job. Dustin Antolin struck out 4. Rafael Martin and Yel Kotze, 2 scoreless innings. Rough night for Greg Ross. He walked 4 in 3 2/3 innings in the Syracuse debut. Did not get helped by an error in the second inning, but his command was all over the place. So Chiefs lost the game. And you think about the Chiefs, they've got some good bullpen arms themselves. Austin Adams did a nice job. Joe Nathan's down there. You wonder if these guys don't figure it out, you got to go to the reinforcements pretty soon. Because somebody's got to be able to do the job. I've mentioned this with the bullpen. You've got to be able to – the problem isn't the closer. The problem is everybody else. When you've seen Sean Kelly and Coda Glover close, they've done a nice job. The problem is they can't get to them because the setup guys aren't doing their job. I wrote an article on District on Deck. Blake Trinan doesn't have any confidence right now. He gave 6 hits last night. The last time he gave more than 6 hits, he was a starter. That's how bad last night was. And you felt terrible for the guy because Dusty had to leave him in, but then realized he couldn't do it anymore because he was trying to save the bullpen for a night like tonight. Denning says status on Brian Harper. I think Harper is still hurt at the moment. I'm not 1,000% sure on that. Great question though. I will try to get an answer on that for you. As far as I know, he is not playing at the moment, so I think he's still rehabbing from injury. But that's definitely a good question. Looking here, also in the chat, Denning brought up a good point. Nats lineup with Harper can slug with the best lineups. This has not been the case in the past tonight. How many runs and with 1 homer need more of that? I think we've seen a lot of that, though. In the first week or so of the season, they relied a lot on the home run, but I don't think they've done that as much this time around. And I think that's at least a good sign. I mean, you had the grand slam by Murphy the other night, and Zimmerman hit the home run. You saw maybe a little more reliance on the homer, but even Saturday's game against the Mets, they did a nice job not relying on the long ball that much to win that one. So this offense could beat you in many different ways where you don't need the home run some nights. And I think that's a good thing. You could play small ball with Turner and Eaton and drive in runs that way. I think that's a good sign for this team. Chris asked how soon till Sammy Solis returns, and I made this point during the game. Sammy Solis is important. I mean, the fact that you've seen Romero throw 4 times in 5 games, Solis is your third lefty because you know Dusty doesn't go to Oliver Perez unless he absolutely has to, or unless Freddie Freeman and Jay Bruce are up, as we saw in the last couple of series. Maybe he should use Perez more. Maybe tonight was the night you use Oliver Perez in a 10-run game to sort of get some of those outs for you. I think right now your long man is Perez, but I can make the case the long man should be Blanton because Blanton's not pitching that well right now. And that's still going to be the concern. Is this team can go as far as the offense takes them, but the bullpen could bring them down, and It's a significant worry right now. Ron's gonna have a little bit on the leadoff spot tomorrow. I'm sure he'll talk more about Trea Turner getting the cycle. I'm working on a piece going to talk about Anthony Rendon. He only had one hit tonight, but you got to look at, despite his early season struggles, he is taking a lot of pitches. I'll throw a little teaser to my article here. His last 7 games coming in tonight, he saw 5 pitches per plate appearance, and he saw more pitches than any hitter in baseball. So he's really patient at the plate. Right now, the results just aren't going for him. He ended 3 of the first 4 innings tonight. Sometimes you're just running a bad luck. But Rendon last year didn't hit his first home run until May. I'm not really worried about him at this point. So a lot could happen there. I'm not going to go to that one. Chris said, any chance Jacob Turner could be the long man? I think Turner, Chris, is just going back down when Strasburg comes back. I think he's good depth at Syracuse. I like A.J. Cole, even though he's been a little bit disappointing in Syracuse, 5 innings a game. Both bounced back the other day. They need the depth in the minors. Turner at least brings out he needs to pitch more. So I don't think he'll be the long man. I think when Strasburg comes back from his paternity leave, Turner's going back down. So Ron will be with you guys tomorrow night. Tanner Roark and Tyler Chatwood. Again, follow me on Twitter at Rickinator555. Follow us on Twitter at District on Deck. Send us a like on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You could also, again, send us a follow on Twitter. It's really, we really do appreciate it. We thank you guys for staying up tonight. Thanks for Chris and the Denning for contributing in the chat room. Late night, I'm heading off to bed. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. So for Ron Juckett and for all of our District on Deck team, I'm Ricky Keeler saying enjoy the rest of your, I would say the rest of your morning if you're listening tomorrow. And Ron will be with you guys tomorrow night at 8:40 for Roark and Chatwood. Until then, I'll talk to you later.